Woohoo! All right. Hello, everyone. This is GaM session episode 9. We are entering into the third month, and to be honest, today before we jump into all of it, never mind. I'm Madhurima. That's Gisela, and we are gonna talk about our lives. As I was saying earlier, today is the new moon,
Full
the full
moon.
moon, the full moon.
Full
Yeah,
moon.
I always get confused. Like I read the Twilight series, and I still get confused. So I'm just like, what's happening here, right? Like, what's the
Yeah.
point of reading all of that stuff? I mean, not that it got into the phases of the moon, but still. Anyways, and our emotions are on a in a whirlpool of stuff, and we are just like calling it a thing right now because
Yeah, it's just a
it
thing.
is it's just a thing. We are going through it. Which honestly brings me to the fact, G, maybe we should record videos before the full moon or the new moon comes of every month, so that we can kind of give tips as to what we can expect.
Yes.
And like it would be a good reminder for me, and pretty
Mm.
sure for you as well. Just to have like, okay, what can I do? I am going to expect this going forward, so I am not going to freak out when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah, I completely agree. I feel like that'd be a good idea. Do you want me to get into like themes for this week and stuff because of it?
let's
And
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's freaking go. Okay, here's the thing. Here's why you're feeling all the feels and feeling the thing. It's the super full moon in Capricorn. And I'm a Capricorn.
Capricorn,
I know I feel it, man. Like it's harsh. So every full moon in a sign has a 6-month period. So the new moon in Capricorn was in January 2nd, I believe. January 2nd was the new moon. So 6 months later is the full moon in Capricorn.
Oh shit. Months?
6 months.
6 months.
So yeah, so this happens like every new moon that's in a sign, 6 months later will be the full moon. And which is silly because we always only talk about the 14-day cycle, right? So this 6-month cycle is like a broader scope that allows you to really focus in on what happened within those 6 months. Okay, so if you hold a journal, which I think is like a great reason to have a journal, like I had to look back at what happened. Like I wanted to look back at what happened in January, like around that time. And I wrote an entry for the first and the third. So I just read both of those, just like to see what was going on around that time. And literally the exact same thing is coming up for me right now. So this is stuff that I've noticed, like synchronicities within my own life. It's not just like these are the themes for this week because these are like the characteristics we associate with Capricorn. It's like, no, these are constant cycles due to like human like patterns and like and social patterns and structures, etc. Like reading or understanding like the planets isn't about like how it pulls like the water inside of you and like gravity. It's like that probably has something to do with it, but these are patterns that have been studied for like so many years. And if you believe in like science and math, you could most definitely understand the cycles and patterns of everything. So I digress.
Yeah.
The themes for this week.
No. I love it. I love it, honestly, because before you get into the themes, I just have to say this. I feel like a lot of people, including myself, have been dismissing all of this because, it's like, how does it matter how the planets affect us? And, like, sure, like, I spent a lot of my time kind of dismissing it because I was not ready to accept spirituality because of my teenage years and all the nasty stuff that came up about spirituality in India when I was in my teenage years. And I was just like, I don't want to be associated with it, right? So like every proof that came up that spirituality is something that can exist, I was just like, nope, not
like,
seeing it. Yeah, like it's not scientific enough. But then now that I look back into it, it's almost like, we study science and we study maths based on patterns, on the patterns that occurs, right? Like patterns that have been occurring for a time now, that's a fact. Patterns that have been occurring for a time now, but there is some sort of like, a misstep almost happening, that's an abnormality. So we study science like this, we study maths like this, so why not look into how the planets affect us? So like, why do you think the planets affect us? Like, how do you think and why do you think the planets affect us?
Um, I have like so many theories. I haven't really like looked too much into like science wise, like why they do that. I've like come up with like my own theories, which is based on specific times of the year. Specific cultures are celebrating or mourning or grieving or doing something in a specific time, right? So, like during the winter, specific things happen. And maybe if you're born in this specific time of the year, like the way you're raised, you have specific like characteristics or personalities that come up for you because of what your culture is representing or pushing onto you immediately, right? So like that's like what I think. Like socially, I just think it just all of the energy is like being bounced back at you in a
Mhm.
specific way. And the way that humans have been able to categorize this is with like the 12 different zodiacs and like the different planets and like all of these like numbers and patterns that they see and synchronicities that they see constantly cycling within like their communities, and like they keep records, and that's why it's important to keep a record. They keep records of like maybe like personality traits, and as that continues to develop, it's constantly reconfirming like what they've been writing down. So that's like what I'm assuming.
Mm, makes sense. Makes sense.
Right, like it makes sense, like that's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, people started to keep records for a particular reason, right? Like it was to make observations. So like, why are we so used to dismissing these observations just because they don't make sense? Like, I feel like when science was first introduced, almost people didn't want to accept it because the gods made sense, right? And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that the gods don't make sense. It's not like a push off on religion specifically, but rather there is a very fine line between religion and spirituality, I believe.
Mhm.
That like, not everything can be explained, and what can't be explained is, it's okay to kind of leave it up to the gods. It's okay to kind of believe in a benevolent being kind of looking after us. Like, I don't know why people think that that's not cool, right? Because I feel like
It,
it's so cool. Like,
yeah.
I don't wanna freak out about this. Like, I want to believe that there's a bigger thing happening here, right? Like, and I feel like we were speaking about burnout, and when I was researching about this, I know we are getting off track here. We are going off on a tangent here. Um,
Let's go.
let's go. All right. So, you know how in Greek mythology there are muses, right? Like, you are kind of like any creative person or any person who's doing something new, they are kind of affected by a muse showing up and inspiring them to do something, right? So there was this TED talk where a person was like, every time I sit down to write, she was the author of Eat, Pray, Love. I think that's the
Okay.
book. Yeah. Um, I don't remember her name, to be honest. Like, I haven't read the book, but apparently it's a very famous book. Um, maybe we should make a point of reading it. But anyways, she sat down to write this book, and she would have like this huge freak outs about, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, imposter syndrome, the stuff that usually comes up for us. Like, am I worthy enough to write a book like this? And all the stress that comes along with it. And so she started to imagine this muse, right? And she's like, if you came to me, stay there, help me in the process. Like, not because as humans, we have this tendency of me, right? Like, it's all about me. Like, I am the one who's carrying the load. Well, why do you have to carry the load? You are probably inspired by, like, what's the fault in imagining a imaginary person or a muse and being like, hey, you came to me for a reason, stick around and help me do this, help me get this out. right? Like you wouldn't have come to me if you thought that I was unworthy of showing up and creating this thing in the universe. You came to me for a reason. So help me share the burden, like share the burden with me so that I can get this stuff out, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know why we started talking about this. Oh yeah. I was like, why do people not believe in God? It's amazing to not have the entirety of that burden on our shoulders. It's freaky the amount of stress we put on ourselves, and we are not ready to let go of that stress. Like, why?
I
Why?
think I think a lot of it is like the distrust in oneself or
Hmm.
like the skills of others. I feel like a lot of people don't trust that other people will show up.
Hmm.
And they think it's almost ignorant or dismissive or like lazy to like share it with someone else. But the way I see it is because these patterns and these cycles have happened for years with and without us, like there is something that's the generator, the operator, and the destroyer. God, God, right? God is constantly, and God to me isn't like a figure. It's literally in my head. It's the I only picture the Fibonacci sequence or like the conch, where it's something that's ever expanding and ever folding within itself. And it's just like this, it's not even like a shape, it's more of a feeling. And like when you were talking about like religion or like spirituality or God, you were saying that you don't understand why like that spirituality doesn't make sense to people like logically, and it's because it feels like sense. You know it. It's something that's inside, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something important to remember, because when you hand over your like expectations or your roadmap to God, to this source or this pattern that's been literally creating life and destroying life and operating life before you and created you, like when you hand it over and you can be like, hey, I'm not sure how this pattern works, but here's what I need. Take care of it. I'll focus on what I need to focus on. Like it does help you hand over that burden. Like I don't have financial stress anymore because I gave that over and I was like, this isn't like something I want to worry about anymore. And it's not saying like, oh, I have all of the money in the world. It's like, no, like I have the values and the intentions to create something in my life without having to worry about if this is going to show up, because I know it's going to. It does. It always has. I know what my standard is and I will never go below it. I will only be able to go up. That's all I've allowed myself. Like I don't give myself permission to go below a specific point, and not even financially, just in general.
Yeah. Okay. So I have so much to say out of that. Um, I'll start with the God thing that you said, right? Like generator,
Okay.
operator, and destroyer.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this is something that I started noticing as I kind of learned more about spirituality, is that three is a very powerful number, right? And in Hindu mythology, literally we have the three main gods, which is Vishnu, Shiv, and Brahma. And Brahma was the one who created the universe, like genuinely created the entire universe. And Vishnu was someone who not necessarily operates it, but kind of like takes care of it. So like every time we have like some sort of a major issue or disaster calamity kind of a thing happening, he takes an avatar and he comes here and he kind of tries to protect us and make sure that the evil is dismissed. And then the third, the destroyer, is Lord Shiva, who is like, he opens his third eye and he destroys everything in his vicinity, or basically the entire realm, so that it can start to grow again, right? And I was just like, I know three is a powerful number, but when you said that, it just clicked. And like I feel like so many people have this, right? Like we have these concepts written over in so many different areas. And just connecting it with this another thing, right? Like how we speak about
You can
dragons.
I was gonna say you can keep connecting it. The more you
Yeah.
think about it, the more it connects. Keep going,
Yeah.
Kate. Dragons.
Dragons, right? Like every mythology or literally every kind of region in the world has some mention of dragons. But where did the concept come from? If it wasn't something that already kind of existed in some level, right? So it's just this notion that feel like everything exists, or we have this knowing within us of what exists outside of what we know about, and we either dismiss it completely or we accept it completely, or we are always kind of staying in that middle ground where we are like, i don't wanna I don't want to sound too judgy, or I don't want to sound too spiritually, so I'm just gonna stick here and I'm gonna let universe take its course basically. But yeah, and the second thing that you said, right, like giving away your expectations, I loved how you framed it, because there is this one shloka from the Bhagavad Gita that basically says that you do the work and don't worry about the results, right? And I've
Mhm.
been trying to inculcate that into my life, because it is something that is very peaceful, but it's also very difficult because we by default have expectations of things, right? We are humans, we expect something. Like even when we are recording this, both of us, we expect that people will watch it, people will learn from it. But if we were to just do it, right, like if we were to just put things out there, work hard on it, and it doesn't mean that you're just like giving up, just because, like you said, just because you're giving away the financial stress doesn't mean that you stop working for money, right? Like a lot of people have that misconception, I feel like, because of the law of attraction and how it can be very misinterpreted, basically, is by being like, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm gonna let universe do its thing. But it's not that. It's like you give the stress away and you put in the work. You have to put in the work. If you don't put in
Mhm.
the work, there was no point of you existing, because we are here to put in the work. We are here to learn from our mistakes. We're here to learn from our wins and our celebrations, but also from our failures. So if we
Mm.
give away everything, if we are basically telling God that you take care of not only my expectations, but also the work that I do, well, then what are you going to do? What are you here for? Are you just going to exist? Like, what's the point of it? You'll get bored of it eventually. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I wanna tap into this now. Okay, so I've been taking notes this whole time because I like want to remember what I want to say.
Yeah.
So with three being a powerful number, the reason three is such a powerful number is because in this universe, this is the 3D realm. And I'm just gonna stop there for a second. Like 3D, three is a powerful number. So I think, so I feel, so I act, the father, the mother, the son. Like the sun sign, moon sign, rising, like constant reminders of the 3D, of the three dimensions of who we are, like past, present, future. Our body encompasses past, present, and future, because if you're walking, the back is in the past, the foot is in the present or in the future, and like your core is in the present. That's why it's important to stay present, so you're not going too forward or too backwards. You're literally centered.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes,
Just want
that
to say that I wasn't distracted by what you were saying, or I wasn't like getting zoned out of it. It's just that my brother decided to come in and just start playing with the dogs. And I was just like, what are you doing? I'm recording you. Like, what are
please
you doing?
leave.
Yeah, please. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
No,
I
you're
love
so
that.
good. But yeah, I just think it's important to remember that. Also, I like made a video on TikTok the other day about this, where you have to remember that 99% of an atom is empty space, right? 99.9% of an atom is empty space. This
Yeah.
empty space isn't just empty, it's energy. Okay.
Mhm.
The more we understand and relate to the energy rather than the 0.1% of the atom, which is like the density of matter, right? Or like matter itself, the more we're able to focus our awareness on the vibrations and frequencies that are higher than, like, not like better, but higher than the density of matter, the more we're going to start and continue to relate to that frequency and also be able to tap into the wisdom of that frequency. Okay, so like we'll just set that right there because it's really important. I feel like I need to say that. And then I wanted to touch on, you said people either dismiss or accept spirituality, and I feel like the reason people dismiss spirituality is because it challenges a belief of theirs. And people always think that, well, it's either science or spirituality, but it's always both. It's always both.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more about how it is both, I would say study Kabbalah, because Kabbalah is literally the study of science and spirituality. It's the mixture of both, and it's been around for like thousands of years. And then giving away expectations and also putting in the work. I feel like I need to like clarify like what putting in the work, like what that means. And I want to also put also like a definition on giving away expectations. So thank you guys. We will both be diving deeper into all of these topics next week. Really going to be giving you a little bit more guideline and kind of wrapping up all of these nuggets so you can take it away and start implementing it in your life.
Ooh, let's go.